Okay guys, so I struck out in Dallas on Tuesday. Sat there all day, delivered that morning, didn't get anything all day. Relocated out of Dallas up to the office in Arkansas, Rogers, Arkansas. It's like 315 miles. Moved up there. And first thing this morning, got a little quick run going down to Fort Smith. It's about 72 miles. Paid $200, and then as soon as I dropped that off, they called me for a run, picking up near the office again. So I'm heading back up to the office, picking up out of there, going over to Georgia, 700 and some odd miles. The run I took this morning was one piece. To take down to Fort Smith, it was only about 20-25 pounds. One box. I don't want to say little box, it was bigger, but picked up one box, took it down there, dropped it off, as said. So now I'm heading back up there to go to Georgia. Driver in my other van, he's over in Georgia right now. Hopefully he's gone by the time I get there, because he didn't get anything out of there yesterday, and he's still sitting there when I get there. It means he didn't get nothing today. Regardless, he should be gone regardless whether he gets anything or not, because got to get the van in this weekend that he's in. Got to get the heater swapped out. Got to get the flex disc recall done. There was a wrench light, and then the other day a check engine light came on that had something to do with the turbos. So gonna get all that stuff looked at and taken care of all at once this weekend. The initial reason I was even taking it in was just to get the heater swapped out, because it's going to start getting cold and I want to get that heater taken care of. And then these other things have happened in the meantime, so I'll give you guys an update on that. As I mentioned, he's over there in Georgia, in the Atlanta area, and talking to him about positioning himself over there in Atlanta just made me want to kind of touch on this a little bit today. Talked about it previously as far as location for loads. People have the mistake in thinking that if they are somewhat near a certain area, they should be good. This also touches on keeping track of where you go, because it's all this, they kind of play together. I've touched on it before as far as it's better to pick one freight area and be on top of it, as opposed to kind of close to 4 different areas. For example, he is in the Atlanta area and he was positioned south, and for us specifically, this carrier specifically, we just don't do that well down there. Our spots are more north and to the west. He had mentioned how he didn't get anything yesterday, and that said he had moved pretty much into Atlanta this morning. And I was telling him how his position the previous day might have had something to do with why he wasn't able to get out of there. Also, part of the reason he didn't get anything has to do with the fact that he's kind of limited on which direction he can go. So that's probably playing a bigger part of it. But in the past, being south of Atlanta just doesn't work out that well for us. There's some places kind of further south that we've gone to pick up that takes us further, the longer runs to Texas or whatever, but you can't go that way. So being on the north side would have possibly worked out better. And I say that because I've kept track of all my pickups, and I've paid attention over the time, the type of pickups we have, where they're going, and a lot of those places that we pick up are hurry up and get here now pickups, as opposed to, well, we can book it and then you got a couple hours to get there. Because mind you, you have to be mindful, I should say, of when you're in a large city like in Atlanta or in Dallas or whatever it may be. When you're in those larger cities, where you position yourself has a huge effect, because mileage-wise it's not that far. Time-wise is the problem to get through those cities. Like, you could be 30 miles from the pickup in Atlanta, but if you got to go from the south end to the north end, or east to west, west to east, north to south, whatever, if you have to pass through that city, man, that can take you upwards of an hour or better. Easy. And as I've said before, this is Expediting. People will want you there yesterday on the pickup, even though the stuff might not be ready all the time when you get there. That's what the brokers want. They want it booked ASAP. They're booking for that knowing that it's going to be taken care of, and that they got somebody that's going to be there now. They don't have to babysit the ETA of the driver. They know that that's going to be there ASAP, so they kind of book these things pretty quick. I use Google Maps. In every pickup I do, I star the location, and that way when I look at Google Maps as a whole, when I'm not mapping anything out. Okay guys, so I'm loaded and rolling. I got interrupted. I got one piece, 540 pounds, en route to Georgia. Shows I'll be there probably around 1:30, 2 o'clock tonight Eastern. It is currently 1:42 Eastern. I think it was roughly 750 miles. I believe where I got interrupted, I was talking about keeping track of my pickup locations on Google Maps. I'm going to put a picture on here showing you what it looks like. What this does for you, shows you where you've picked up over a period of time. Obviously, the more time you've been doing this, the more information you gather, and so on and so forth. So obviously, for anybody new starting it, it's not going to be as helpful, but in the long run, it'll become more and more helpful. And the reason I'm referencing this is because, as I was talking about with my driver over there in the Atlanta area, you get to know places that you pick up, kind of the way they operate, because you can get some areas where hey, I can kind of hang out here in the middle of nothing, because these places that I have picked up, they're usually going to, say, Laredo or something, and there's usually time to go pick it up. Whereas if your carrier does a lot of short stuff or mid-range stuff, you want to start being right on top of those areas, because the quicker stuff, the shorter mileage loads, they want those covered a lot quicker. They want you there quicker. They want it picked up and on its way quicker. So it benefits you to be right on top of those things, and you need to know where they are. You need to pay attention to those things. A very important component to being successful at this job, any kind of over the road where you're positioning yourself, is awareness. Awareness and common sense, those two things together, really. Because you have to pay attention to the trends, you have to pay attention to the patterns of things, the areas that you pick up, the areas you're delivering to. Believe it or not, 40 minutes. When you're out here driving, 40 minutes just seems like nothing, seems like a drop in the bucket. But to get a load, the difference between getting a load and not getting a load, 40 minutes can be that difference. 30 minutes can be that difference. And that's in addition to, that's not saying you got to be right on top of the place where you get there in 5 minutes. But what I mean by that is, as opposed to being an hour from somewhere, rather than a half hour. If you were a broker or a dispatcher, do you want a unit that is an hour away or a half hour away to cover the freight you're trying to cover? Now, mind you, that's saying that the rate being bid is equal. You want the guy closer, right? You want the van that's closer, the unit that's closer. You always need to be mindful of that. Because I've definitely been in a spot where I was like, oh man, I'm like right here, close to, you know, these 3 different places. I'm about an hour from each one. Why not? Just stay right here. Then I wonder why I ain't getting nothing. And then the next time, maybe I'm closer to one of those 3, and then I get something right away. And then the next time, it's the same thing. And then maybe another time I sat there in the middle again and I didn't get nothing. You know, it just starts to build a pattern if you're paying attention. Any of you out there looking to get into this, or about to get into it, or are currently doing this and new at it, or maybe you've been doing it a while and you're just looking for that added advantage, I believe that's one of them. Keeping track of where you go. I mean, dude, you look at the map, you expand it, you know, which whatever area you're in, and you can start seeing where all the pickups are. Because over time, you're going to go to certain places, and you're going to see that your company kind of tends to stay in certain areas. So you know, if you happen to get a load into some oddball area, you might want to think about moving into an area where you got some pickups at. If you notice on the map of mine that I showed earlier, you see that there is there's an area that we stay in. I mean, you don't see very many little pickup points in the Northwest, the Pacific Northwest. I'll tell you what, man, today, traffic is on my absolute last nerve. This 49 going down through Bentonville, Rogers, Fayetteville, Springdale, Arkansas. Man, I'll tell you what, this is one of the worst areas for traffic that has absolutely no flow to it. Like, I don't know what is up with these people around here, man. I think these people about to pass me. Been on a cruise, 65 mile an hour. I had to get around him. He's in the middle lane. Now there's 2 lanes. Now look at him. He's hauling ass. Back there, he just wanted to hold up traffic. Then people merging, man. They think that you're supposed to stop for them or make it easier for them to get in. The safest thing when people are merging in is maintain your speed. Now, if there's nobody around, fine, get over, let somebody in. You know, it's just common courtesy. But when you're in traffic, maintain your speed and position. Don't stop. Don't slam on your brakes. Don't veer over in front of somebody and slow down the fast lane because these people are merging in. Like, that's just stupidity. It's their burden to get in. They need to stop if they have to stop, speed up if they have to speed up, or slow down. That's on them. They got to find out how to get into the flow of traffic, not make traffic stop for them. I did that video, 5 things I hate about Expediting. I need to do 5 things I hate about on the road driving. Because, boy, it's one thing I had to struggle with when I first came out, man, was road rage. I have got that road rage, man. I get that road rage, man. I've got it in check for the most part, as far as keeping a lid on it. You know, because I understand I've got signage on the van. I'm representing more than just myself, so I definitely keep a pretty good lid on it. Might sit in here and bitch and cuss and scream and holler and give people some stupid looks, but before, man, woo-wee, when I first started, oh my God, driving in an unmarked van, boy, feel like I'm not sure if I should tell the story. I learned my lesson big time on road rage middle of the night. I was driving through Tennessee, I believe, and I passed a straight truck. So one night, I was passing a straight truck, and I'm passing, I just happened to look over like, you know, I always do. This dude's flipping me off. Like, what the fuck is he flipping me off for? Like, I didn't do shit. This guy, the only thing I can come up with is that he felt I was following him too closely, which I don't believe that I was, but that's a whole nother story right there. Some of these trucks, people in straight trucks and big trucks, man, they think that you're supposed to be a half a mile back behind them or a half a mile ahead of them before you get back over if you're passing them. That's just, those guys, man, you're that fucking scared. Get off the road. But anyhow, it flips me off. Like, oh, no. I used to have that mentality, like, with that road rage hit, man, like, you flip me off, like, you better be prepared to stop. And so I flipped him off. We went back and forth. You know, he passed me, I passed him, Brighton, all that bullshit. And we ended up pulling off into a rest area. And nothing, no kind of physical altercation, but just a bunch of jawing back and forth. But when I left there, the thing that went through my mind was like, I know that these straight trucks, 90-some% of them are team drivers. Okay? Like, I'm no badass by any stretch. Man, there could have been two guys in that thing. They could have kicked my ass, man, right there in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night. You know, that was just stupid. Or, you know, worse, I mean, they could have had a gun. I mean, because I don't carry. I'm not allowed to carry, so I don't have any protection besides just my hands. So yeah, that kind of put a check to it, like thinking how stupid that was, man. Like, just because I'm getting pissed off because somebody got pissed off at me for something I did, and here we are sitting in a fucking rest area, you know, possibly about to throw down over that kind of dumb shit. They could have either one of us killed or both go to jail or something. Just any, you know, worst case scenario, just something could have happened. It would have affected my entire family, you know, my entire job, my business, everything. So yeah, I had to get that road rage in check, man. That, and ever since then I had, but man, I do some serious cussing. People that talk to me on the phone, they know there's certain things, like when you're on cruise control and you're catching up to somebody, you go to pass, and then they catch you in their side mirror at that point because they're probably on their freaking phone, and then they start to take off from you like, you son of a bitch, you didn't just do that. That one right there makes me quickly irate. I just cussing. And again, though, I don't do shit anymore. Man, back in the day, man, before I even started this job, man, something like that, I'd have been brake checking. I'd have been throwing something probably, man. I was an idiot before when it came to that road rage. That's one of the things about doing this job has changed a lot about me. I not to get off too much into another subject, but I appreciate the living I make. I'm proud of the living I make. I'm proud of what I do. I take pride in what I do, and how I present myself and how I represent, you know, the companies I'm leased on with. So that means something to me. Back then, made a lot of stupid choices, did a lot of dumb stuff, and it didn't matter. That I just act out like a fool, not giving a shit about the consequences. So